Thanksgiving is upon us. A lot of people concerned about potentially ruining their goals during this time of year, especially as we go further and further into the holiday season. I do know I've heard people go, why even try during this time of year? I'm just gonna blow it anyway. Or they'll be like, I'm already off the rails, so I'm just gonna wait until the new year to get back on the wagon. What's the use type mentality. And then of course there's those who are on the other extreme, that they'll just become so neurotic that they'll show up to a family event with Tupperware containers because they just can't get off their course that they're on. We're going to talk and address both, because depending on what day I drop this, either tomorrow or the next day is Thanksgiving, and I want to help prepare you, or better prepare you for this time of year. Alright, before you go any further, don't forget to like, subscribe, and please share with someone else who would be really beneficial for them to hear this as well. So, I most definitely have been that neurotic person who, especially because of my struggles with food growing up, and definitely an eating disorder for sure, I was that person who, when everyone else was thinking they were going to be gaining weight during this time, I would probably be the one more than likely unintentionally losing weight, because of the fact that I just feared this whole freaking time, because everybody's like all about the food, right? Which kind of loses track of what Thanksgiving's about. Granted, again, in reference to the United States, it's mainly a holiday that we celebrate here for, like, of course, historical reasons. With Thanksgiving, honestly, the thought should be around family and enjoying time together, and food kind of is one of those things that brings people together, right? And plus, depending on how you do your Thanksgiving, maybe you have certain traditions where certain people bring their own dishes, or maybe one or two individuals decide to cook and host the event, or maybe you go out to eat to a certain restaurant, plus those people who are willing to work on Thanksgiving. And whatever that decision is, a lot of things can be like just throw people off towards their goals. And I will say, this is actually probably the best time and the most important time to have a fitness coach, a trainer, a nutritionist, because they can help guide you through this. I'm going to try to help you with some little bit of tidbits that can be useful for every individual. So like I said, I was that person for sure. I have done it in the past where I brought my own food. Don't do that. Just don't. Yeah, no. The only individual I can see it potentially being like you got to, and almost honestly, I would say just don't plan for this, is a competitive bodybuilder or physique competitor who scheduled to have a competition like within the next few weeks after Thanksgiving, which isn't strategically smart anyway. So sorry if I'm offending anyway, but don't. I remember being told by a competitive physique competitor who said, yeah, he learned from his mistake. He had a competition the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So quite literally the most intense part of prep was that week prior to for nutrition wise. So yeah, just don't, man. Enjoy time with family. So let's get into some ideas that can be very helpful going into it, so that you don't feel like you throw yourself off, or so you don't get into this neurotic behavior, and that you really don't have to wait until January to get back on the wagon. You can remain in consistency, just alter the thought process. So first, I would say, is treat this time as a maintenance time or a bulking time. What am I meaning here? So if you're someone who like avidly works out and trains, you're that person who can be borderline neurotic, I would say treat it as a bulking time, because then you can really focus on just building muscle, building strength, and not really get so freaked out on the food. You can enjoy some time again, enjoying some food maybe that you typically would not have had other times of the year, right? Because, you know, grandma's gonna cook that dish that no one else makes any other time of the year, and everyone can think of that dish for their family, right? And for the individual who may be like, okay, man, I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to cut calories, and this actually, I use this strategy with my clients going into this time of year, is we go to maintenance. So I just tell them like, hey, okay, so the goal is to not gain any weight, really. To not gain weight, just to go through the season. And if we can maintain, we're way better than most people coming out of the holidays. Especially if you go into January, you didn't gain anything over Thanksgiving, over any of the December holidays like Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever you celebrate, New Year's Day, all that. If you can get out of that without gaining weight, and I'm not talking about the 1 to 2 pound or 3 pound fluctuations like that you typically have throughout the whole year. I'm not talking about that, like the fluid fluctuations. So if you can get out maintaining weight, then awesome. So that would be a better goal. So, realize how many times I say the word so. It's what happens when you edit your own videos and you go like, man, I say that word all the time. Number 2, the second thing that I would consider saying or thinking about is prioritize when you're going into like this type of time of year. This can even work for going into December as well, is prioritize strength. Prioritize focusing on the matrix of strength. So as long as I'm getting stronger, I'm building strength, focus on that. So especially this works for either one, whether you're the person bulking or the person who's going through, and I'm talking about lean bulking, I'm not talking about like the dirty bulking thing, so don't get crazy. But, so if you're bulking, you're going with my idea of maintaining, focus on strength and improving your strength. And then that will be a better proxy to help you so you don't get all going, oh no, I'm off the wagon, I messed up. And with that, really focus on, if you're going in there, focus on some major compound movements. If you're someone trying to get into strength training, or you're that person trying to lose weight, focus on some big heavy lifts. So even if you don't have time, because this time of year, people go like freak out. It's like, I have less time. It's hectic. Gotta do all these things. Gotta shop. Gotta do all this. Gotta do all these different parties. Well, focus on some big movers. So squats, deadlifts, barbell rows, things that are going to be more heavy hitters. So if you didn't wind up having time for the rest of your potential longer normal workout, you at least hit these heavy compound movements that are going to stimulate more growth overall than any other type of movement. The third thing, and this gets further or closer into the specifics of the day, is, let's say Thanksgiving, you're going into the day, you can prepare ahead by going on a deficit the day before. So this does not negate what I said earlier, on going into being in a maintenance mentality. But if we take our calorie consumption throughout the whole week, so again, this is also me kind of lapping into what I've talked about before. If you're tracking your calories, you know what you typically eat, you're tracking your protein at least, you know what you typically are doing for maintenance. What you would do is you go below that, you would dip below that the day before Thanksgiving. So that Wednesday, you eat, go 500 calories less, just giving an average estimation. So 500 calories less than normal, and then that gives you that wiggle room on Thanksgiving of that 500 calories, right? Now, if you're really strategically planning ahead, because okay, man, dude, if you're family like mine, where they got you got one side of the family, you have Thanksgiving stuff on Thursday, and then you got Thanksgiving stuff on Friday, or maybe you go and do stuff with friends on Friday, or you got all the leftovers that you have a hard time resisting. Then in that case, you can again plan ahead and strategically do 2 different days on deficit. You're probably going, what? Why wouldn't I just do that on the Saturday and Sunday afterwards? Really? Not smart. You're probably not going to do it. It's the weekend already. Normally people are off on the week, or mess themselves up on the weekend anyway. So my thought for you would be maintain on the weekend, go the deficit the 2 days before. So Tuesday and Wednesday, or if you're someone who doesn't really do well on a deficit because you still haven't acclimated yourself well to it, you can always work it out a little bit better by doing a deficit on Monday and Wednesday. So then you have that little bit of maintenance on Tuesday, you feel a little bit better, go back on a deficit on Wednesday. So again, you can do 500 calories. Again, this is me averaging this out. Not every individual should do 500. Normally you want to go between about 250 calories to 500 calories down. So if you do that, you have prepared yourself now for some wiggle room on Thanksgiving and on the Friday afterwards. So giving yourself that little bit of more freedom, so to speak. And then if moving into a little bit more strategicness into the day of. So you go into the day of, mind you, if you're doing all these things, you're really giving yourself a little bit better wiggle room. Plan ahead based on how your family does or your friends do Thanksgiving. So if Thanksgiving is typically a afternoon, if you're like my family, maybe it's at noon, maybe it's at 1 o'clock, maybe it's at 2 o'clock, whatever it is, you can plan based on that time frame by, especially if you're someone who's going to have to do 2 different ones in one day, you can plan ahead. And this is when I would actually say intermittent fasting works fairly well, because you can strategically plan that out for that morning and just intermittent fast, not have breakfast. Or if you're like, man, I'm really like that person who gets hangry in the morning, I don't think I can do that, then eat a smaller, lighter meal, more of a snack type meal in the morning to hold you over until the actual get together. So those are a few items and a few things that can really help give you a better edge up to going into this more appropriately, less stressful, and better feeling nutritionally and exercise-wise. And that way, you can not feel like you're thrown off completely just by one day. And again, remind yourself, it's just one day. One day is not going to ruin everything. It's when we take that mindset and excuse ourselves for the rest of the month. So again, it's just one day. Don't freak out. Use these little strategies and tips to help you potentially prepare better and be that person who can say when they get to January that I didn't gain any weight. Till next time, y'all.